I am the true alpha male. This is a fact. This is undeniable worldwide. Let's check out a comment that I received recently on a video called The Meaning of Life, original song by Nick Shell featuring Jill Shell. So if you want to see what that is, I'll tell you a hint. It's a song I wrote. And I play guitar and my wife sings it with me. So on that song, our great friend Stormy Ascent, who's been following me for years and supporting me for years, this was his comment, quote, "You guys look the part, indie hipsters." I was thinking, you probably can't make videos about hiring because your employer would find out if you spoke honestly, in which case you'd be fired. I'm thinking about the concept of lookism and how the attractiveness of one's face influences hiring process. I'm guessing your politically correct answer would be confidence and competence as you landed your latest job bald, end quote. So let's explore that. I think this is actually a very relevant topic, and I can answer very honestly. I think, you know, here as we are at the end of the of this decade, the end of the 2010s, because we're just about a month and a half away from the new decade. But in November 2019, we're at a point now where hiring is less really about how you look, and it's more about your skill set, and it's more about your communication. That's what I have seen, and I've worked at more than one company doing the same basic kind of job, and that's hiring. So it used to be that, you know, if you had tattoos or piercing or some kind of strange hairstyle or whatever, that actually could keep you from getting a job. But in reality, especially when we're talking about so much of this is online anyway, and when a recruiter's looking at you, they're really looking at your skill set. You're looking at your education actually even matters less than your skill set and your experience. So it's a matter of, even in office jobs, what I've seen is it's less about how you look and more about what you know and what you can do. That's what actually matters. And it also matters too that you do the application on that company's website, not just in the field that I work in, but in others. I'm the guy behind the scenes. I'm the guy who looks at your application and decides whether or not you should move to the next stage. We're not looking at pictures of you. We're comparing your resume. Did you upload a resume to the site? Did you complete the whole application on the company's website? And ultimately, do you have the experience that is needed? That's really what we're looking at. That's how you're being sized up from an online perspective. I mean, when you imagine that you submit your resume on Indeed or Glassdoor or whatever it may be, everyone else is seeing that from a different perspective. That's what you're being sized up by. But also, did you do the application? Because that tells the potential employer that ultimately this is someone who is willing to spend 45 minutes to do this thing, and while they are looking for a job, they cared enough about our company to do this on our website. So this is reality. As far as how you look though, I'd say it never has mattered less how you look. Now, hygiene's a different thing though, which can't be determined until you're actually there in person. Now, obviously, if you're not showering and you're not well kept and that sort of thing, that can send a message that you wouldn't be a good worker if you can't take care of yourself physically. But as far as how you look, it's never mattered less. And I would know because I'm the guy that hires people for a living, and I've been doing this basically as long as I've had a full-time job. I've been doing this in this field since I was 24. Now I'm 38. So, I mean, I'm truly the guy to ask. It really is less about how you look. Going back to this comment though, lookism, how attractiveness of one's face influences the hiring process. So here's what I'm going to tell you. No, that's not how it works. It's not that we're hiring the best looking people in the office. What that reminds me of is the concept of how I continually remind my viewers that females perceive attractiveness of men differently than how men perceive females to be attractive. And that ultimately a girl can look at a guy and say, okay, well sure, he checks off all the boxes of what's supposed to be a handsome looking guy. So what? What about this guy beyond this? Could he treat me right? How does he treat other people? Is he interesting? Is he funny? Would he be someone I would want to have a conversation with? These are the things. And so actually what I'm doing right now is I'm comparing the whole process of how a female perceives is a guy attractive beyond his looks. Employers do the same thing. It's a matter of why in the world would any good employer hire someone just, and then I know where this is going. Someone might say, well, okay, if all things were the same and there was someone who was specifically more attractive than the other, who would you choose? Well, ultimately, if in this, see, now we're just having a hypothetical conversation, because that's usually not how it works. Usually I can look at their experience and I can figure out who's going to be the better fit. But what's funny is a lot of companies, and not just in my industry, they do a phone interview first anyway. So, I mean, yeah, they could stalk you on LinkedIn or whatever. They could find a picture of you. But ultimately, any good employer who's wanting to hire someone is definitely not going to be basing it off of looks. And again, the phone interview, you have to get through that. You have to set yourself without us being able to see you. All we know is what you told us about your experience level, and then we're judging you on how you communicate. So as far as how you're being sized up, I would say looks has the least to do with it. Now, if you're asking me personally, in this very hypothetical situation, okay, so two people, phone interviewed perfectly, they have the perfect same exact experience and that sort of thing, and they both come in on the same day and you interview them both. Are you saying that you still wouldn't choose the most attractive candidate, whether it was a male or female? No, it really means nothing. If I were going to lean to one side, and I'm just saying this for the sake of this video, just to challenge you here, maybe I'm better off choosing the one, if there was one that was just specifically movie star looking and the other one was completely average, maybe I'd go with the one that was a little bit more average looking, just because it seems like maybe they would be less full of themselves. And I think girls do that the same way with guys. They think, well, if this guy looks that good, then maybe he's competition for me. I don't want to be with this guy who is better looking than I am or whatever. So I think actually, if anybody's got an advantage, and this is just my personal opinion, I think the person who has the advantage is the one who is more average looking. And that's assuming, again, that communication skills are as good. Communication is really what this all comes down to, more than anything, if you can communicate, which is why I'm good at what I do in hiring. Because imagine on my end, I'm looking at all these applications, these resumes, I'm looking at it from there. But even then, I'm still selling them on the position when I call them to make sure that this is a good fit. I'm selling the manager, okay, well, this is a good candidate. So I'm basically selling people, I'm convincing people, I'm influencing people. If I wasn't good at talking and communicating and understanding what motivates people and basically sizing people up to the right fit, this has nothing to do with looks. All that really matters as far as looks go, that you do the best with what you have and you don't worry too much about it. You know, simple things like, bathe regularly, get some good deodorant that works on, brush your teeth, if you got the beard, put some peppermint oil in there or something, treat to, just make sure that, well presentation. You do the best with what you have, and ultimately know that doesn't even matter. That's just an avatar, because a good employer, a decent employer, a halfway decent employer, an employer that cares anything about hiring someone to actually do the job they need filled, is going to hire you despite your looks. Despite your looks. Looks don't matter. Experience does. Communication does. Emotional intelligence does. I mean, even in my interview, when I interviewed over a year and a half, one of the questions that I was asked in the interview, and yes, I did have a shaved head, but I had stubble, no beard. I was asked, what would you do in a situation where your coworkers were doing something that annoyed or bothered you? And my response, an emotionally intelligent response, was, it's always your choice to be annoyed, though. So I would have to, in my brain, think, I'm letting them annoy me. This is annoying me and I'm bothered by it. I said, but for me, I choose not to be bothered by that, because ultimately, if I'm going to be judging people on what's annoying, what am I doing that's annoying? So ultimately, that's none of my business. It shouldn't concern me. It shouldn't change my emotions, and it definitely shouldn't change my focus on the job. And I think that's one of the answers that sealed the deal for me getting the job. So there you go. Yes, I am a professional HR recruiter. I work in HR. I'm in recruiting. I've been doing this for 13, 14 years, whatever it is. I know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Beauty in the least. It is not about your looks. It is about all the things that I actually talked about. But what tends to happen in these videos, people hear what I say through their own insecurities. So if they think that they're not good at looking enough and they're always competing with someone over looks, then they've already lost the game because they're not confident enough to believe in themselves to communicate in a way that exudes that. Is exude, is that even, I have an English degree and I just said exude. Is that a real word? It doesn't matter. What matters, well, also what doesn't matter are your looks. You just work with what you got. Focus on the stuff that actually matters. Your comments belong right here.